We circle the wagons back to Garret Rangel being the right pick for this job, this team, this game. But the backup quarterback situation is a little bit wonky right now.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things cowboy and cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Alldeo State. Today, we are partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more. Place a $5 bet right now and get started with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed when you visit FanDuel.com. Go there today to get started. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of QB1, which is Garret Rangel. Not a massive surprise here. QB2, I think, is worth a little bit of a conversation. Now, we have been covering the difficulty with Zane over the last few weeks, and he did not make the trip to Provo, Utah. But that does mean that Coach Alan Bowman likely is going to be asked to throw on the pads and helmet and potentially get her done in Provo, Utah, if something were to happen with Garret Rangel. Now, I think it would behoove us to introduce Maealiuaki Smith to Cowboy Country if Garret were to have some sort of limitations or obstacles. But at the same time, Alan Bowman does offer a veteran presence on the field. He does offer a coach to some degree in the huddle. So it does kind of make sense if Alan Bowman is going to end up being QB2. But I still think that it makes more sense to go with Maealiuaki Smith as QB2. If Zane was healthy, he'd probably be QB1, but he's not, obviously. That has been made more publicly available information that he did not make the trip. So it's either going to be Garret or Smith and Bowman, or Garret, Bowman, Smith. It's going to be some iteration of that three deep at the quarterback position. Why I'm excited about this, of course, you guys know I've been partial. I've been a Rangel guy for a while now, and I do think that he has a much higher upside than Alan Bowman, which is why I thought we would make this kind of move much quicker into the season. Of course, when he did get his opportunity in the second half of Utah, he didn't go very well. But the only caveat I would add to that would be if you look at the timing that he has with Talon Shetron and even some of the timing he has with Rashad Owens, it looks drastically different than the timing he has with Brennan Presley and Dejon Stribling. Could it perhaps be the fact that Alan Bowman has a lot of those option route concepts with Dejon and BP that the other quarterbacks just don't have, because not only are they not necessarily privy to the internal conversations on those option routes that Bowman and BP are having, but they are looking at different things, right? So if you're getting prepared and you're doing a week install as QB2 and you don't get to install the same things as QB1 with the ones, because if you go in, the sample size or your play calling sheet might be a lot smaller, then I understand why there would be some difficulty if Garret were to go in and try to operate off of Alan Bowman's game plan for that week. It's not going to matter if we don't get a good performance out of Garret here. But this is the thing. I hope that Garret does not try to go out there and be a perfect quarterback. I hope Garret doesn't try to go out there and not make mistakes. Don't do that. I think that's the Garret that we saw in the Utah game. He was so deathly afraid to make a mistake of him getting pulled right back out of the game, and that's essentially what ended up happening because we rolled with Bowman, at the end of the game and into the next week. So I think that was some nerves, some jitters of him wanting to be too perfect, of him wanting to not make mistakes. And it backfired. So for this game, Garret, just let it fly, man. Go out there in gamer mode, right? Go Clint Shelf. Go J.W. Walsh. Those dudes were not the epitome of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country, but they were absolute gamers. So you could feel the excitement in the stadium when those dudes were in the game, and you could feel the excitement on the sidelines because they were willing to stick their nose in there and do some extra things to get the extra yards when necessary. I think they realized that they may have had some deficiencies in throwing the ball and being labeled as a pure pocket passer, but they were gamers. So sometimes it would look ugly. Sometimes it would, involve multiple turnovers. But at the end of the day, that J.W. Walsh and Clint Shelf are going to stick their nose in there for the extra half a yard. They're going to dive over piles. They're going to try to extend plays. That's what we need out of Garret Rangel. Go be a gamer. Do not stress about running a perfect offense. Don't stress about getting yanked if you do something wrong. Just go play ball, right? Let it loose. Have some fun. We've been getting dominated the last 3 weeks. So, consolation prizes aren't very fun, but we'd rather lose by 4 than 24. So just go out there and be a flippin' gamer. I would imagine that a decent amount of us will take a loss as long as the offense proves to be worth the watch. This is yet another opportunity where national eyeballs are going to be on this game. It's the ESPN kind of late night, Friday night main game. So there's going to be eyeballs on Garret Rangel and this offense. And then speaking of Garret Rangel, we do know that his buddy, his homie, Ollie Gordon, he tweaked a knee in the previous game. The bye week should provide him an opportunity to get out there and be explosive, but it doesn't mean that we should not be excited for maybe some Trent Howland carries. We know we ought to get some Sesi Vaialahi carries, and it would be great for Sesi to get in the game. It would be kind of cool for Sesi and Maealiuaki Smith to get in there at the same time, because those are both dudes that ended up with Oklahoma State and BYU in their top 3. So that would be a pretty cool poetic justice moment for those individuals on that field, especially if we were, in fact, able to get the W. I do expect the team to play more inspired with Garret Rangel. Not that they, didn't necessarily fully buy into the Alan Bowman stuff, but Garret Rangel just brings a little bit of a different level of excitement to, I think, everybody on this roster. So even though we've got a little bit of a banged up version of Ollie Gordon, he is still going to play. I would be surprised if we didn't limit him at least a little bit, which is, again, why I think we should expect to see some Trent Howland and Sesi Vaialahi action. Just like as a wide receiver unit, the option route concepts with Stribling and Brendan Presley. Now that Garret Rangel has an entire week plus of full first-team install, I would imagine that those individuals are going to be on a much smoother page together, just like I'd imagine that he'll pick up right where he's left off. Every time that him and Talon Shetron are on the field together, they're able to make things happen. I don't think it's any surprise. They've had thousands of reps together as the twos unit. And to some degree, even Rashad Owens. So some of the familiarity that Garret Rangel is going to have with Rashad Owens would likely date back to the fact that Rashad was working with the twos more often than not over the last few years as well. So Garret has a very good connection with the dudes he's been running with the twos with. So now that he has a full week to get caught up to speed with all of the plethora of wide receivers that we have, it should make a difference. But once again, I want to emphasize, I don't want to see a polished, quarterback. I just want to see a flipping gamer. That's it. Lower your shoulder, bang some heads, complete some passes, get some yards, take some chances, and have fun. I feel like that God has put Garret in this position, and he might as well play really loose. I mean, the whole team might as well play loose. We're not expecting to win this game. Nobody in the country expects us to win this game. Nobody in Provo, Utah expects us to win this game. So just play with your hair on fire, have fun, be a gamer. Don't stress about being a quote-unquote fancy little quarterback. Alan Bowman was a quarterback, but I don't know that he was able to inspire the same level of, toughness and dealing with adversity that Garret brings to the fold. Everybody can get excited because I also think that Casey Dunn might have something to prove here. If it is in fact true that Dunn was ready to move on from Bowman a couple weeks ago, then perhaps we see an even more inspired version of Casey Dunn in this game, right? There could be a little bit of Casey Dunn that has been kind of held back to some degree. And if that's the case, then I expect Casey Dunn to try to prove something today with Garret at the helm. Rocking its team G13 today, baby. He just doesn't have to be a hero. Just be a dude and be a dog that is a certified problem for BYU. That's all you need to do. That might equal being the king dingling. Speaking of king dinglings, we have the ad of all ads today. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. HIMSHims is where you need to be looking to get most things in life squared away. If you're having troubles with intimacy or you're having troubles thinking about intimacy, you need HIMSHims because it's going to get you rocking and rolling, literally and figuratively, today. Whenever you're trying to, think about being more spontaneous, it's really hard if you have some ED issues. Through HIMSHims, you can get personalized ED treatment without ever stepping foot outside of your door. HIMSHims is changing men's health care by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch, aka it's going to allow you to be the king ding-a-ling of your man cave, your living room, or your bedroom. Make sure that you start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. Make sure you go get squared away with the best ED medication in the game. That is HIMS, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. HIMS.com/lockedon. Make sure that you go get squared away and be the king ding-a-ling and the king of your home today with HIMS. So the Smoke and Mirrors show obviously was on display throughout the course of this week. And now that we know that there's some injuries and things of that nature and some people that didn't make the trip, it will be very interesting to see what role Alan Bowman does fill in this game. Now, I do expect him to fulfill that coaching style of role. And yes, it is probably advantageous for him to bring his helmet and his shoulder pads, just something that were to transpire with Garret Rangel out on the field. But if we don't see Alan Bowman as QB2, I think it's fair to view him as a GA style of coach. And with that, I would ask if we see a much better performance from Alan Bowman or Garret Rangel than we've ever seen before. And we know that Mike Gundy has had to deal with the, Rangel situation before, as has Casey Dunn, Charlie Dickey, Tim Rattay, Jason McIndoe. All of them have dealt with Garret Rangel being QB1 at one point in time and it not going super swimmingly. So would it not be somewhat understandable that if Garret Rangel is playing at a completely different level and he has a very good synchronization with BP and DeJon Stribling, would that not mean that is Alan Bowman helping Garret Rangel on the side saying, hey, dude, here's what I'm looking at, and here's why I decided to help bring some of these option routes over from Michigan, and this is what I want Brendan Presley looking for whenever this linebacker does this, or this safety does this, or if they switch to zone coverage and bail out a man, or whatever the case may be. I think it's fair to assume that if Alan Bowman is in fact in this helping coaching role, that whatever the limitations Garret Rangel had in the Utah game, he's not going to have for this game. That comes down to if Alan Bowman truly is embracing whatever his new role is. Clearly, it's not going to be QB1. And clearly, if Zane was healthy, it wouldn't be Alan Bowman at QB2 either. I don't know that we would have QB3 Alan Bowman if it weren't for the injury issues. But nonetheless, if we see a much improved version of Alan Bowman, dagnabbit Garret Rangel, I would imagine that Alan Bowman has a pretty good hand in that. I would also imagine that if we haven't seen Garret get some of the same work previously, that's because Alan knew that was his competition, right? So maybe it wouldn't make sense for Alan to go out of his way to teach Garret how to beat him at his job. That could make sense. But again, if we see a new and improved version of Garret Rangel, and we've had the same Gundy, Rattay, McIndoe, Dunn issues for the last few years with Garret as a quarterback on the roster, then would it not make sense to view Alan Bowman as the quarterback coach that could potentially help with the next transition as well? Whatever the case may be for Alan Bowman as it pertains to whether he's going to be on the field or in the coach's office at some point in time, I do indeed believe that he's putting this, litmus test on for himself for this game. Because even if he is a quote-unquote 3-deep QB, he's still likely performing the same roles as teaching the other guys what to look for and how to mask things and maybe for those who can't do can teach. Maybe he can help Garret Rangel with better eye discipline, because Bowman and Garret both, from the times they've been in this season, have a terrible, terrible propensity to just stare down the receiver. Like, before they even get the ball, they're looking at that receiver. They get the ball, back up, and they stare down that dude this entire time. They never even look backside. That would be another improvement that we should see or could see out of Garret Rangel that might have a little bit of an emphasis put onto him by Alan Bowman. I'm actually excited for this new role for Alan Bowman, just like I'm excited to see what the future is going to look like with Maealiuaki Smith and Zane Flores. Just like I'm excited to see what Garret Rangel can do in this game, because I firmly believe that we are going to see a little bit more of an inspired effort. Just like I feel like Justin Wright, he's going to make a difference. Again, I'm hearing he's like 95-ish%, so not exactly 100% full tilt, but even a 95% version of Justin Wright is going to be more than enough to help, at least from a communicational aspect for this game. That's been one of the missing ingredients, is we tried to rely on Kendall to do some of the communication, and we scooted Kendall up to him of some of those duties. And even now, he gets caught in the wash a decent amount of the time. You're seeing Jeff Robertson kind of, take a little bit of an uptick here in the production department. If we can wrap up, we're going to be in pretty good hands. There's a giveaway. All right. We're gonna try to cruise through this one here pretty quickly. But yeah, let's talk about the keys to victory. I expect a good game out of Garret Rangel. I would expect to see some more Trent Hallen, Sesi Vailahe. Expect to see some more Talon Shetron. I think game plan wise, I think Dejon Brown could have a big day with a little bit of an injury to Jaleel Johnson. They're not going to be doing the same level of rotation. Therefore, if Deshaun Brown has been waiting on an opportunity to say, Coach, give me more snaps, let me cook in the third and fourth quarter, this is going to be his time to shine as well. And then when you do think of somebody like a Jeff Robertson, it makes you wonder about if we're going to have some more help in the safety department. Is Lyric Rawls 100% ready to rock and roll? Will we see a little bit more of a backup style role for David Kabongo? Is this another game for him? Is this the opportunity for Landon Cleveland to get healthy and prove it out on the football field? What kind of depth do we have at corner? This is a good game to throw all caution to the wind. If you're going to have fakes and all that, it is this game. The weather is not going to be great. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely wild. BYU, they feel like they've got some get back because of what happened last season. So there's a lot working against Garret Rangel in this game, which is why it'll be even more sweet if he's able to rise to the occasion, shock the world, shock Cowboy country, and pull off what would be the biggest win of the year by a solid country mile. That win over Arkansas would be looking good if our record wasn't what it was, but it is what it is, and that's okay, because there's still opportunities out here to capitalize on your monetary gains, even if it's with some of the NFL fellas. That's right. You know the drill. It is time to talk about FanDuel. When you're trying to capitalize on your monetary value in your pocketbook, I know that the Cowboys haven't really been giving us a lot of opportunities, but FanDuel likes the NFL. You like the NFL, and we have Cowboys doing some big things in the NFL, which is why the NFL is going to help us today kick off a big return. Whenever you get that inkling feeling that something magical is about to happen, you can now check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more from the same place where you place your bets from. I can't speak English today. Goodness me. You can get started with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed whenever you place your first $5 bet. That's 200 bones back in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Go get started today with FanDuel.com. Get your money right, because there's still time to do so. Go to FanDuel.com and do it today. All right, keep it brief. Keys to victory. No surprise, Garret Rangel just doesn't need to be Superman. He just needs to be a man. As Mike Gundy likes to say, just man up. All right, cool. Man up, go bang some heads, Don't try to be perfect. Don't worry about getting pulled or benched or this or that and the other. It's been a disaster. You don't have a lot to lose. Go out there, play loose, have fun. Defensively, we have to get more pressure. Now, we did bring in somebody that coached at Oklahoma State in the 80s before having a very illustrious career in the SEC that has been helping Brian Nardo all week. So I would imagine that the defensive line, if there's going to be a game where they're going to find a way to get in the backfield and cause some havoc, it's got to be this game. We highlighted Deshaun Brown. I do think that we have to look underneath as well. Justin Kirkland, he said he circled the Utah game, months and months and months ago, and it didn't go very well, and I don't think that he necessarily performed all that well. If there's going to be a game where Colin Clay or Justin Kirkland assert their dominance at one point in time, it's got to be this week. We have to get pressure with the defensive line. We have to get pressure in general. I don't think the guys in the back end are as bad as the numbers are indicative of. I think a large part of it is they get stuck out on an island. And I don't care who you are, in a scramble drill, you've heard me say it, the quarterback and the receiver always have the advantage. So if you ever get into a position where the wide receiver is breaking back towards the quarterback, your DBs lose the advantage, and that's most likely going to be a completed pass if the quarterback can find a little bit of a window to settle down in. So our back end is depleted because they're running cross-country level miles every week. But at the same time, if we get pressure and we can cause the quarterback to make quicker decisions or worse decisions, that could be good for us. Another big reason I don't want Garret to try to be a perfect quarterback is BYU does, in fact, lead the Big 12 in interceptions. From statistical categories, they do a lot of it as a team. It's not really an individualistic effort like you'd see from our defense, Nick Martin and Trey Rucker. But I don't want Garret to try to press too much through the air, especially with the weather being pretty crappy. So that'd be another big key to victory. We have to get the running game established. It doesn't have to be a traditional running game, mind you. If you are running sideline to sideline, you can utilize slip screens, tunnel screens, and bubble screens as an extension of the run game. And it also gets the defense wore out much, much more quickly. That is the way I think we should be able to highlight the run game, is by getting the other team going east to west as much as possible. Make them defend the numbers so you can soften up the belly. If we can do that, I think we will be able to run the ball regardless if it's going to be Trent Hallen, Sesi Vailahe, or Ollie Gordon. I do expect to see at least all three of them kind of get sprinkled in here to some degree. Another big key to victory, we have Sean Snyder. Yeah. We also have a 6'2", 220-pound punter that runs a 4.59 40. Can we do something with it, please? Get creative, have some fun, run some fakes, do some trick stuff. I mean, the dude has a very successful trick shot channel. All right, let Hudson Chalk do something athletically. He's a rugby player that is the size and speed of a linebacker. Let him be him, right? Let him have fun. Let the special teams be special. This is a throw caution to the wind style of game. We have nothing to lose because we've been doing nothing but losing. So, yeah, I don't want to see a tight team. I just want to see us play loose, have fun. And then lastly, keys to victory, don't play the dudes just because they're seniors. Stop doing it. If somebody is an underclassman that is better, play them. We don't give 13 hoots or poops anymore if they don't know the playbook as well, because the guys knowing the playbook really good haven't been doing nothing. Let the youth play. Let them play in a massive environment really late at night on the road. Just do it. Stop with the political, he's going to play because he's a senior, he's going to play because he's a redshirt junior. Stop the ridiculousness. Gundy was talking about the fans being negative and that hurting recruiting. This is hurting recruiting. If you get dudes that come in at 6'3", 230 pounds as a freshman, and they outperform 5 seniors and 2 juniors, then let them play. Like, what are we doing? Yes, it's awesome that we had 35 some odd seniors come back. Awesome. But it didn't amount to anything. It isn't doing anything. So stop with the political, who's going to play, he's going to play, he's not hurt, he really is. Stop it. Play the best players regardless of what age they are. To me, if we do those things, we could eke out this victory. And that's what I want to end with. I haven't felt confident in the last few games, right? I don't even necessarily feel confident in this game because we do still have to worry about the fact that it is still Charlie Dickey and Casey Dunn and Mike Gundy in there playing tickle flips or whatever the flip they're doing. So I have reservations on whether Garret Rangel or any quarterback or if Tom Brady was our quarterback. If Casey Dunn is calling the plays and Mike Gundy is allowing Casey Dunn to do whatever, and I don't know, man. This is the most excited I have been since Utah, that I can say. But I'm trying not to get, too up in arms because it is still the same offense. And it is still our fearless leader pretending that we're all stupid, we deserve nothing, and we should just be happy that we field a football team. I don't love it. So we need to see an inspired effort. We need to see a different team. I do have some faith in Garret Rangel getting a full week and a half with the ones and install. So I'd say we have a chance. I still think we lose, but I think we lose by like 3 or 4 instead of 20 or 24. We shall see. All right, y'all. Oh, obviously, I'm not in Provo, Utah. Medically, this whole thing started last Friday. I went in. I thought I had a cracked tooth. Turns out it wasn't my tooth. I've got some torn ligaments in my shoulder, which I knew about the torn ligaments in my right shoulder, but now my left shoulder is jacked up too. And I woke up, was it Tuesday morning, with my daggone, my arm frozen, stuck above my head, attached to my ear. So my physical therapist got a couple extra sessions in, and she whooped my tail. So I knew I shouldn't go to Provo, Utah, where it's going to be 30 degrees and it might be snowing and meet a wheelchair all around a campus I've never been to. Yeah, it's just too risky. My doctor, everybody told me not to go. I'm dumb enough. I almost did anyways, but I'm going to listen occasionally. Anybody who. So we're going to have for this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike if you don't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you know what to do. Hit the stars, leave a review. You're the bricks, the bread, the butter, the fountain, the fondue, the foundation, all of it. I appreciate you. Let's go give them hell in Provo, Utah. Until then, later, my taters.